Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Tenor. Have a little bit of update from yesterday. I'm starting to lean towards this initial move not being done yet. I'm starting to think, momentum is expanding. We had real shallow moves here in the wave one, and I'll zoom in just a second, but I want to show you where I think we could be targeting. Shallow move in wave one, and then really start to expand into wave three. We do have some catalysts coming up into the rest of the week with GDP and PCE, stuff like that, that the Fed looks at. So just be on your toes. I think that this is a wave four pullback, and we'll go down to the 65-minute. I just dove right into it, huh? So we're going to check out SPY on the daily, and then we'll work through around the horn on the 65-minute with SPY, QQQ, IWM, and the VIX. So you can kind of get a gist of what I'm looking at. And what I think ultimately after this move resolves is a move down to former all-time highs. I know that ultimately when this move starts to conclude, I'm talking about the total pullback, I think we'll be working with this zone. But I don't think the market will have enough steam to the downside to get all the way there in just one swoop. With that said, wave three started to expand. And I think now that wave three is longer than wave one, I do think wave five could end up longer than it doesn't have to, but then wave three where momentum is just continuing to break down. So, I mean, I really think we could make it down to this 480 area. And I put two new lines here, just their former all-time highs there, just kind of a little zone for this move. And so we'll keep an eye out for that. But just kind of digging in a little bit closer, we didn't bounce off of the 100. We bounced right before it. So I don't think this is going to be very significant. And let me say, with earnings tonight, we could gap up and we can start testing these tops here. We don't know what's going to happen there, but we're having trouble at the 386, and I'll show you on the lower time frame. But let me finish off on the daily. And if we can't hold above the 8 EMA or we gap back under it tomorrow with earnings and data, I'm thinking our first stop here would be this support that I had from this former high. So resistance, support. I think that would be a good kind of first stop, get a little bounce. Where would our second stop be? Probably these lows here. And then our final, a little bounce, and then our final stop. So we're looking for a 5-wave impulse move down here. Ultimately, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, where this low is just a short-term low, then I could see this expanding out to about 478 or 480. Now, let's jump down to the lower time frames and kind of show you why. And then, by the way, after that, I think that's when we get down to the lower lows, that's when we get our nice, large, overextended rip your face off rally. So let's go down to the 65. Now, I'm kind of drawing some channels and kind of anticipating. I think the blue channel is a little bit more appropriate, if that's even going to be our channel to ride down on. I think this is going to be a little bit steeper, but in case I'm leaving this white channel on here, just in case price gaps up tomorrow, continues to move up, then I think we'll test the channel highs and start to move lower. Yes, I know that there's other alternative ways to do this. I think that it could possibly, get down lower and then make a new high, an ABC, a larger ABC. But we do technically have an ABC already in. And so if price decides to break down from this point, we could start seeing a sharp move to the downside, not in a straight line, some jagged moves. And ultimately, here would be kind of our point. We have the 479.98. That's the standard deviation move from... No, that's our former all-time high. Excuse me. Standard deviation would be down here. That's our former all-time high, had marked way back when we were talking about breaking out from it. So that's looks pretty sharp down, but I think, we're starting to build that momentum. We had a nice sharp pullback. It reset the indicators, and we can look at those too, but let's dig in a little bit deeper. This is a breakout zone, so that's a possible point where we can come down to, and this is the former all-time high. So that's that zone on the daily time frame that I had marked down. Right now, I said 503, 504 area would be very crucial. So we're getting above that, but really we're right back into more resistance, former support. So that's one reason. So we, again, we can draw this as a zone. We can put another line right there, just a really small zone. I know that I'm nitpicking, but this is important, especially when we go to the next board. So we still have a little bit of room to go to the top of the channel. Not sure that's going to be the case. And then we could continue lower. And wherever we reverse some from, I'll probably redraw this channel or add another channel just to kind of take that top in, just in case price wants to bounce each time to the top of the channel. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you guys exactly my thoughts and kind of how I work things. But ultimately, I don't think this channel is really going to hold. I think it breaks down from there. I think a lot of people will buy off of that point. And then it starts to break down and continue lower. And then people will say, oh my gosh, like how low can it go? How low can it go? And really start to break down, back test that channel and continue lower. All right, so we'll look at that. We'll continue. If you're new, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Option Center logo, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell because we'll be monitoring kind of how this ends up and with new information. If we flip to the upside because things start to get bullish, then that's what we're going to do. And I'll put out a new video, but it's looking fishy to me. We're pausing right at this point. And so let's go change the board to the Elliott wave pattern. Now, I know this is the daily board that I have here. And this is the daily board. I do have a time factor here at 4:29 on the daily. So, and there's also a May 1st. Okay, so I like to keep those in mind. Now let's change the board back to now we have a bunch of clusters here. I know this looks like a real mess, but I start to clean them up as there's no real significant as price goes through. But we really get a cluster into 29 right here. And again, I'll kind of shift through these. This might be, calling a top here, this recent one, but there's a line here. I'll get rid of that. But here's the cluster. There's 4 or 5 time stamps here around 429 where price goes down. If we go down into 429 and all day, which that's, I believe the 29th is, let's see, we're looking at, where is it? Where's my little calendar? So we're looking at the 26th being Friday. That could be a heck of a day. And then we have a trading week for... Sorry, you guys. Taking up your time. Okay. So Monday is the 29th, and that would make sense to us. This is important because if Monday is the low, Monday could be a follow-through from Friday's PCE. Maybe we start to get more bearish into the end of the week, start going lower. Monday typically kind of follows Friday. So Friday's super bearish. We're getting bearish. We're heading down. Friday's probably not going to be our low. We'll probably have Monday being a little bit weaker, whether it's a gap down and then starts to gain some strength. But then we'll have turnaround Tuesday looking for a bottom. So I'm really starting to get precise in here with this information, but we're really looking at the 29th being that kind of low. And here's something else to look at. Here's the former all-time high at the 480, but it's also the 382 fib, the Fibonacci from this entire move here. So why is that important? Because if this is a lot of people are saying this is wave 3. This is wave 3. It's very typical for the 23.6. We got to bounce off of that. That's not a major fib. But wave 4 to end at the 382. That is very typical. And then you go to new highs. All right, or at least you go sideways for a while and then go to new highs. But usually the 382 can hold a wave 4. So that's going to be significant in those who thinks this is a wave 3. And it very well could be. But that's why this is going to be such a significant low, in my opinion. And the bulls are going to fight the bears. Okay, so if we exhaust one last move down for a nice large wave 5, that's the 480 zone that we really could get into. And on the daily time frame, that's where that's kind of pointing. And just to dig in deeper, now we can see, why is this at a 505, the 382? I had to make some adjustments, and I'll show you on QQQ. I raised this from this being wave 2, from this being wave 2. Now I'm considering this being a 1-2, 1-2, but the major cycle here, wave count, starts up here. Now it matches the cues a little bit more. So we have a 1-2, and then wave 3 all the way down here, because we broke this down as a 1 A, B, C for 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and now we're looking at the last 4 and then 5 down. So we're right at that 382, which is, it only moved up, 1.5, but it's significant because we're stalled at it right here. It's also back to a former wave 4 on this minute level, 2 degrees lower. 1, 2, 3. This is wave 4, and then you had a 5, and that's another 4 and 5. So we're at this micro wave 4 that we pull back to the 382, 505. We have time headed, so we have a few days to reverse. I think we're going to reverse from here. And so, there's going to be some people arguing that this looks like a 5-wave move up. Very true. So we have to keep that in mind. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you get a pullback. If this holds on a pullback, possibly around the 500, then there could be another 5-wave move up. So if we just make a higher low, that's the risk. That's a risk that we're going to have to take. So if we really start to hold the 500 area, then we're going to start moving to these higher Fibonacci retracements, which would be that this whole entire move was wave 1, and we're bouncing back to wave 2. I think of both scenarios, I don't think we're going to make it past really this zone. Okay. So let's go to the Qs. On the Qs, again, to me, it looks like this is a big old 1, 2, and just a stretch wave 3. It just doesn't look complete. So in my mind, I had to break it down. 1, 2, 1, 2, just like SPY. Or excuse me, this was just a more simple version. A 1, 2. So the top of wave 2 is way up here. A real sharp retracement. 3. Now we're getting wave 4 back into resistance right here at the options expected move. And again, these targets could be lower. If NVIDIA starts dragging, if maybe Tesla has bad earnings, all sorts of things could happen. But so I'm not going to base our targets off the Qs. I'm going to work off SPY. But here's what kind of gave me a little bit of, hey, we're not quite there. We're right at this 382, but SPY wasn't even near it. So what was the deal? So we have a little room to go for this 382 for the Qs, so we could kind of drag today into it and then have our high in for the day, and then tomorrow gap down from earnings or from maybe Tesla. Really, I do have Tesla calls, but maybe Tesla gaps up, but everything else is bearish from the news, whatever news, durable goods, I believe, is coming out before the bell. So again, I'm already in plenty of shorts, but I do think we reverse from somewhere around here of my alert for 425.78 right here. But this I'm counting as a 1, 2, that's a flat, 3, 4, 5. So an expanding leading diagonal for a 1, and then a clear A, B, C for a 2. So we're projecting the top of wave 2 all the way down to the bottom of wave 3. So this is all wave 3. And it's very typical for a 38.2 retracement of the wave 3 to complete a wave 4. Okay? So that's all I want to show on the Qs. IWM. IWM coming into a channel top. So clearly that's another objective short. So that's just the obvious right there for me. So I think this is more of a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we have 2 more sets of 4 5s to go down here. So I think IWM goes much lower. We're a lighter position here. It's really volatile. It's difficult to trade IWM. So we have a small position on there, but if to the downside. And a lot of the information comes from the futures as well. So if you don't pay attention to futures, I do recommend using them. And if you notice, we had this channel. We actually broke down from this falling channel. What are we doing? We have a little bit of room, a little space, but we're just back testing that channel. All right, super important. We have the 5-1-15. So we have some resistance right up at this point. We're also at the 200 moving average. But really why I want to come here was super important with this possibly being an A, a B, and the C being a 1, 2, 3. We're working on wave 4, and now we're pushing into wave 5. So this just being an ABC correction. Okay, this to me doesn't look like 1, 2, 3. I guess you can argue that's a overlapping set of waves 5s, and then you can get a B wave. Have to hold around, not have to, but likely to hold around 50-40. That would be a good zone, and then move up higher if you're looking for the deeper retracement. Just don't think that's the case. Let's look at the so looking at the indicators, we're already in oversold territory on the RSI and the slow stow. And then we're testing the zero line. Yes, price action got tight. We got positive divergence, and we're already reset back to the zero line, which is still just neutral. So we're just into the neutral zone now. We have plenty of space to the downside to move before we get more positive divergences into a certain time frame. Okay, so that's what I want to show there. And what else? I know I'm kind of diving around. I try not to like just plan these and show you exactly, only one or two things. I want to be pretty methodical. We have the DMARC. Nothing's going on there. VIX. Let's go ahead and go to the VIX. So what's the VIX going to look like if we start moving down lower? Well, the VIX already has a deep pullback. So we're coming all the way back to this 20 simple moving average. And if we go down to the 65, we're also getting that cross. How about that? We're getting the 50, the death cross, or I guess the golden cross on this would be. Let's go down to the 65 because I think that says a little bit more. If we're down to the 65, we have this flag that we broke out of. We're back testing that flag right now. So if we can hold this area, that looks like an ABC for an A, a pullback for a B, and it looks like a good correction here for an ABC. And now you can actually go to new highs, breaking above 19 and continuing the move even higher, which would take us to new lows. And then we can start testing some more gap areas up top and get a new resistance somewhere where we can make a final move to in the VIX move. I think we'll get a new high. And then again, we'll have our last wave for just the first move to the downside. All right, let's not get crazy here. I'm not saying that we're going to new highs after this. I just think that we have more to go to kind of complete this nice 5-wave move. And remember, whether you're a bull or bear, and I'll show you that video, whether you're a bull or a bear, I'll put it up top at the end. We're looking for the same thing. So even if you're a bull and this is wave 3, coming out for wave 4, we're still looking for a zigzag. I talked about it in yesterday's video. I talked about it constantly. This, to me, is an ending diagonal. It doesn't have to cross down here, but I do think that's likely, especially if we get one more move down for just the initial move. Then I think it's very likely we cross over this this wave 1 here. But we're looking for a zigzag. We're not going to end with a 5-wave move. All right, we'll get a pullback and head lower just for the initial move down here. So ultimately, I think this wave 4 is going to be a 3-wave move and then to new highs. That's our secondary pathway. All right, I know this chart's busy, but this is our secondary. This 1, 2, 3, and then a zigzag down, zoop, 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 and then a new high. But our primary is that we had our blow off top already. And we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expanding ending diagonal into a resistance, the 130. That's the extension from this entire move from 2022. We got to that extension, and I kind of moved these lines a little bit because this, I think we make it to this former high. That's the 382. Then we get our bounce because the new information says that we might fail right here for one last move down. Then we get our oversold bounce, rip your face off rally, and start heading much lower at that point. That's our primary scenario. Now, even on this one, I have the target up top here just in case we hold here and price wants to make a new high. Then I think we're going to go all the way. That we start breaking this high here, you better believe we're gonna start going up to 562, That's our next target above. Okay. So that's really in a nutshell what I want to show you. Again, ultimately, I think this looks unfinished. I know that the indicators are already reset. It can go lower. I think price can go lower from right here, right now. All right, let me get this video out to you so you can perhaps look at some of the things and adjust your trading. All right, thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.